Well, hi, I'm Matt with TopLeft. I wanted to welcome everybody here to the update webinar for May 2020. It's just trying to be simple and keep you up to date on what's happening here. We haven't done this in a while, so we do have some good news to share. Also, I got some good stuff to share for things that are coming up soon. So yeah, we'll just jump right in here. All right, so what's new here at TopLeft? Well, biggest news probably is that we have a new team member, a fellow named Stephen Clausen, going by the title of Sales and Customer Success Manager, because TopLeft has been growing quite a bit. We've, over the last couple of months, we've had our best sales months ever, and it's too busy. We needed somebody else, so Stephen is here to help us. So you may hear from him. He will be both doing stuff on the sales side. So if you are just getting in touch with us now, you may hear from him in terms of coming on board and finding out about how Kanban can help you. If you are an existing customer, then you may hear from him in terms of just getting in touch and finding out how we can help you better. So yeah, expect to hear from him. Happy to have him on board. Some of the features that we've introduced here, I can show you some of these. So these are ones that are applicable to mostly both sides, ConnectWise and our Autotask environment, but I have more news for the Autotask side, so just a second here. So one thing is the in-app announcements. You may have noticed this. This is a way that you can kind of stay up to date more frequently than coming on a webinar every few months or every month to find out what's new. Pay attention to this little red pulsing thing up here. So it'll go away now because I've seen the update, but don't ignore that. Pay attention to that, because this is where we're going to post news about new things that we've either new features that we've launched or new resources that we have to help you with your workflows or with just using our particular software. So pay attention to what's there. Also, if you want to get our updates by email, then you can just follow this link here, and then you'll be notified about those in your inbox when we ship those announcements. So that is a useful way that you can stay in touch with us and understand what it is that what new stuff that we're offering. We have just introduced a way that you can customize what happens when you click this header here. We had one customer in particular ask us about basically saying the complaint that everybody has, that ConnectWise is not too speedy, and they'd rather this link open up in their desk director. So if you would like to see this, clicking this link open up in desk director or some other similar service that has any web page where the ticket ID is part of the URL, then we can customize that for you. You can just send us a message to help@topleft.team and we'll get you set up with the instructions to do that. It's real easy. And yeah, you can have your URLs pointing to someplace other than ConnectWise. It works for Autotask too, in theory. I don't think we actually have anybody using that. So, and I don't know what sort of tools might make use of a Autotask ticket ID, but if that's useful, get in touch and we'll definitely help you work through that. And a couple of other little things that we have available in ConnectWise. We shipped a new type of filter for project type. So basically this means that you can now have Kanban boards that show you tickets, project tickets on your Kanban board, but only for projects that are a certain type. So if you make use of the project type field in ConnectWise, for example, if you have one team that works on projects of a certain type and another team that works on projects of all the other types or something like that, then you can certainly now you can set up multiple boards, Kanban boards that show you those different types of project tickets. We also are making this available today or very, very soon. It's just going through the review process. This feature is a filter for a ticket type. So you can use this if you make use of the ticket type field. That's things like server, network, backup, things like that, or certainly you may have some other uses for them. I know of one customer that is they sell a number of software products, and so they have set up their tickets to have the types or all of the different products that they have. So that'll be available very soon, hopefully even today. So that covers kind of the general stuff. So let's talk about what's new in Autotask, because that's been our main focus over the last quite a while, actually, and we're coming up towards the end of bringing Autotask support up to the same level as the ConnectWise support. So let me show you a few of the things that's now available in Autotask. Some of these things have been there for a little while, but we haven't had a webinar to talk about them yet, and other things are very, very new. So one is managing the ticket assignments. So here's our Autotask environment. So you can now, under this menu here on each card, you can manage the resources. So you can do the primary resource here, including the role. If someone has, like this example here, Michael has multiple possible roles, so you can see that, and also manage your multiple secondary resources. So pretty straightforward. Just select them, click Save, and it'll go out to Autotask and make those changes. You can also enter notes and time. So as an example here, so your engineers should definitely know about this. If they don't already, be sure to tell them that they can now enter their notes, and then this is a dialog for entering time on a Autotask ticket. This is very useful and will help them to get their time entries in right away throughout the day instead of at the end of the day or the end of the week or whatever. Okay, another improvement in Autotask is that you can now drag tickets between swim lanes. So this is really cool. And it really allows you to quickly reassign work if you see that someone in your team has too much work, someone else doesn't have enough, then you can just quickly do what I did here, drag a ticket from one person's swim lane to another. And then if they have multiple roles, then it will present this dialog here to you. So you can select their role as they're assigned there. If they only have one possible role, then it will just go ahead and do it. So yeah, it could hardly be any easier. Yeah, so it's gone out to change that. You would see that change reflected already in Autotask. So pretty straightforward. One thing that we just added, I think the last week, maybe two, is service calls. So you can now see the service calls that are registered on a ticket. Here is an example of on this ticket, this secondary assignment here, James Moore in this example is assigned to, it has a service call for this ticket today. And we can see that by this little outline around the indicator there. So, this icon indicates that they are a resource there. And now the outline indicates that there's a service call, and I can hover over that to see the details there, what time it is, and the name of the service call, description of the service call there. So the green icon indicates that that's a service call today. You can see there's a few others here, like this one. So that's a red one. The red outline indicates that that service call is in the past. And that helps you just stay up to date on things that are possible problems in your workflows. So if someone has a service call in the past, it either means that one of two things. They didn't do it at all, which means that needs to be rescheduled probably. Or they did it, but they didn't mark it off as completed. And in that case, they should do that. So that is another reason that you don't have to go into Autotask to see that sort of thing anymore. Also, the outline will be blue if it's out in the future. Like if it's green if it's today, but if it's further out in the future, then that would be a blue outline. So that gives you some key indicators just about how work is scheduled to happen here. And finally, this is super recent, like in the last 24 hours, sort of recent, is managing, actually dispatching those service calls. So that's also available here under the menu. And in this case, you can, select the start date and time, the resource who's going to do it, and so this would need to be one of either the primary or one of the secondary resources. That's why only one person is listed there. Give it a description, status, location, and then click Save. And then you'll see that in Autotask. We are going to make an improvement where you can actually, once you select the member, you can actually see their day as far like the other service calls that Autotask knows about. So it can give you help as far as dispatching that into a time that you can see is free in their day. So it'll give you some additional help in that. That's something that we've been working on. And I'd hope to see that available next week sometime. Yeah, so I think that covers it for the key new features that we have. So let's talk about some of the things that are coming up. So this is Autotask SLAs. So that's something we wanted to do for a long time, and that should be coming very, very soon, so either today, maybe even, or very early next week. So then you'll be able to see tickets like this, where we show you your SLA on the service ticket. This one's pretty clear here, which SLA it is that's coming due. This is a first response SLA, and when it's due, very clear. This is a yellow, the orange tag here means that this is coming due fairly soon. We will also show it without any specialized highlighting, more like just this due tag here. If it is further out in the future. So you can set the threshold that determines, I want to be kind of give it this extra formatting for extra highlighting when it's coming in the next 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours or a day or whatever it is that you want. That'll help you notice those tickets that are coming closer with their SLA being due. So you can work that in the appropriate priority. And then once you blow the SLA, I know that none of you would ever, I know that would never happen to you, but for those other MSPs that regularly blow their SLAs, then this is what they would see. Poor MSPs. So we know that you won't see stuff like that, but it could happen to other people, so they would see that. Oh yeah, some of the other things that are coming up. So one thing that we frequently get asked is that it would be nice to show the notes and the time entries that are already registered on a ticket or task, mainly to see, basically not have to go into either ConnectWise or Autotask to see those sorts of things. So an engineer can see what other engineers have done. They can see the notes that they made on the ticket yesterday or last week or whatever. So we would like to be able to show that to you within Kanban, so you don't have to go back to ConnectWise or Autotask to see that. So that's something that we like to do. Like this is sort of in the next couple of weeks sort of time frame, so coming up fairly soon. Another thing is a basic audit trail, because that's something that we hear with some frequency as well, to say, okay, I want to know who made a certain change to a ticket in Kanban, because for both ConnectWise and Autotask, they because of how we currently send those changes over to the PSA, it just appears like, this is a Kanban API member that made this change. And so it's not clear who's the human that made a certain change, change it to a certain status or entered time or whatever. So for the moment, we'd like to make this better by offering a simple audit trail in Kanban, so that if you see a change in your PSA and it says it was made by the Kanban user, then at least you can go into Kanban and find that ticket and see a complete listing of all of the changes that Kanban pushed out to your PSA on behalf of some user, and see like who's the human that did that. There are some additional things that we hope to do further out in the future to make that actually better. So like, for example, to not have it showing in your PSA that the Kanban API member did that, but actually to show which human made that change right in the audit trail on the ticket and our other record there in your PSA. Those are further out in the future, but just be aware we would like to do that. But this is something that we can do fairly soon, so do expect that as well. And the big thing that we brought you here for today is project boards. This is something that a lot of folks are asking for. In fact, in our list of things that people want to see, this has 3 times as many people listed there as the next highest feature. So that's why we are doing this very soon. These are going to be, so this is a different type of board where the cards, the columns here represent the stages of your projects, not of your individual tickets. And the cards represent the projects, again, not the individual tickets. So there's a few reasons that this is very useful, because some of you MSPs have an unbelievable number of open projects. Like, that's terrific that you're doing that amount of business. It's not uncommon for us to talk to MSPs that have 40 or 50 or more open tickets. Talked to one the other day that I think they said that they have sorry, not tickets, projects, 40 or 50 or more open projects. I think I talked to one the other day that had said something like 120. So when you have that number of open projects, you run into the same problem that you do with the tickets in ConnectWise or Autotask, where the PSA doesn't give you any good visibility into what's the overall status of everything that we're working on. And so we've solved that with the Kanban boards for the ticket side, but for these MSPs with the larger number of projects, we need to solve that visibility problem as well. So that's what that's the next big thing that we're working on. So same thing as always, you'll associate the columns with the possible project statuses. So that'll be totally customizable. You can, and then when you drag these cards between the columns, then we'll actually go out and change that project status in your PSA. Or if you change a project status in your PSA, then we'll see that change and we'll move the card between the columns for you. So it'll really make that management a lot easier. You'll be able to see things that haven't, they've been in the same column for a while, so that that can help you notice those projects that are getting stale and maybe need some extra attention to get those moving forward again. There will be some sort of link here that you can click on, and then that will actually open up a project ticket board, like the same thing that you can do today already. So it'll open that up, already filtered to that project that you clicked on, so that when you're you're managing in terms of, let me think about all of my projects as a whole, and then you shift gears and you say, I want to focus in on this project and I want to see what are the status of all the tickets there. It's just one click and it will open up a board already filtered to show the tickets just for that project. So that'll make that very easy, and it'll support the swim lanes, just like you've come to expect from the other types of boards. So the obvious options are by the project manager, so that you can see if you have multiple project managers, you can very easily see who's working on what, who's responsible for what. You can swim lane by company, so that if you're regularly doing multiple projects for individual companies, then you can see them by their company. And some other options that we've thought about as well, like one is the estimated start date. So if you take care to do some capacity planning and think about when is the estimated start date for that ticket, then we'll show those in swim lanes as well. Grouped by probably a week or maybe 2 week period or something. If that's interesting to you, then give us some feedback there. We'd love to know what you'd expect in that regard. And so those are some of the things that you can, that we expect that you'll be able to do with that. And I think that actually wraps up what we're going to talk about. So now we get to the Q&A part. There is I see someone's already putting some questions into the chat. That's fine. You can also use the Zoom, the explicit question function if you'd like to do that. But yeah, so I'll stick around now and answer questions. By the way, this is going to be recorded, and so if you want to send it off to one of your colleagues or review it later, then you're more than welcome to do that. All right, so let me figure out, just review some of these questions that are coming in here. Someone asked, any idea of the turnaround on the project Kanban development? Would we be able to drill down into resources assigned to project tickets? Yeah, so those are, those are good questions. So roughly speaking, for the rate that we'll develop the project feature, so we still need maybe, it's always hard to say dates because things change, but say 2 to 3 weeks. I'll say 1 to 3 weeks on the other features that I mentioned, the notes, viewing the notes and the time entries, and the audit trail, and then we will get started on the project stuff. And so we are going to be for all of our customers, we will release that all at once at the end. But for folks like you who have taken the time to come and join us here, let me give you a little secret. We are going to actually be releasing it bit by bit as we finish it. That's how we consider, you know, we offer Kanban boards. So obviously we love Agile. And so this is kind of how we use Agile ourselves, is that for folks who can make use of this, like you, because you took the time to be here today, we're going to be releasing this as we go. So it'll kind of be a little bit hidden in the application, so that folks who you know, just want to use things once they're done, they'll just see it when it's basically done. But for you, you're going to be able to take advantage of this as we kind of build it out. So at the beginning, you know, it'll be pretty basic. You'll just you'll get a board and it will have the columns, and you might not even be able to set filters. Like, it's just going to show you all of the projects, but you won't be able to tell it which type of projects you want to see. So that'll be the very basic version. And if you want to know when we offer it at that level, let us know, because we're happy to let you know when, like, we need people to help test this for us. And then we will build it out. So then we'll, like, for example, add filters so that you can determine, you know, which are the specific types of projects I want to show on this board. Then we'll add swim lanes, and then other features like you know, making certain changes to the projects, like changing the description, or you know, a variety of other things. So we will actually be making it available in small chunks as we finish it. So we'd hope that it could be done in, you know, sort of 6 to 8 weeks sort of from now. But if you want to start using it before we kind of announce it to everybody, then we'd love to have you in there and doing that. So just let us know. Send a message to help@topleft.team, and we'll make sure that we let you know when it begins to be available. Being able to drill down into resources assigned to the project tickets. That, as far as the project tickets go, this is a question from Chris, and I don't remember, Chris, if you are a ConnectWise user or you're an Autotask user. But however, it doesn't really matter, actually, because we already support that in terms of the project tickets. So let me find a project board. So this is actually, that is the one I want, actually. So here is an Autotask example of a project ticket swim lane board. Okay, ConnectWise. I'll just do Autotask since I'm here already. So yeah, here you are able to see who's assigned to a project task in Autotask. So the first one that's listed is always the primary resource. And after that, you have all the secondaries. So here's an example that you can see who's assigned, and you are able to manage that. Manage that from Kanban here. Change the primary, unassign folks to just click them here, or assign folks there. Now, same thing that you get here on the ConnectWise side. ConnectWise is a bit different. The assignment model is just you have 0 or more members assigned to a ticket. So it's a little bit simpler here. All you get is just your list of members. So we see here that you know, on this particular ticket, roll back the CRM, we have Norman assigned, Tara assigned. So that's the extent of what you can do as far as drilling into the actual members that are assigned to a project ticket. We, as far as the project boards go, where the cards represent the individual projects, we would like you to be able to see the project representation of the project team there. So you'll see both the project manager and the project team. And you know, again, the project team might not be available in the very first version of the product, but it would be something that would be done by the time we announced it to everybody. Okay, I think that covers that question. All right, let's take another question. Can you create a service fault call for that client through this interface? Yeah, so that was something that's available here. So this is one of those features that we just introduced today, actually. is dispatch. So this is, actually, let me go back. This is for the project side. So let me go to a service ticket board. For you ConnectWise members, just so you know, in ConnectWise, service tickets and project tickets are actually quite similar. In Autotask, they're like completely separate, although there are significant similarities. They're considered a bit more different. But anyway, so this is a service ticket board, and we have the dispatch function here. So this will create a service call that you'll see on in Autotask. And again, so this is available now. Like this is, we just pushed this out to everybody like an hour ago, 2 hours ago. And we have an improvement coming where once you select the member, you'll actually see a representation of the other service calls they have that day. So, if they're somebody who's regularly working on site or whatever, they have a number of service calls that day, or maybe that's how you're managing their work, then you will at least see the times that they're free and available. So you can stick this new service call into a time that they're available. Oh, yes, I see that you told me I had already answered that. Okay. Okay, yes, and GN, I actually already just answered that. Now you can do yes, you can do dispatch on project tasks. Okay, question here from Colm. Welcome, Colm. Yeah, plans to merge tickets and tasks so they're usable on the same board. Yes, we would like to do that. I'm afraid I don't have a better time. I don't have any time frame as to when we would do that. It's certainly something we would like to do. There is some work that we're going to do in preparation for that that we need to do sooner rather than later, and that would be kind of some foundation work in the back end that would make that possible. That we are going to be doing, in the next, I don't know, 2 months ish sort of time frame. However, there would be more that's necessary. So I'm sorry I can't share more a good time frame on that, other than we would like to do it for sure. The items on the what's coming, anticipated timeline for those. I think I already mentioned that. Some of those smaller ones are, a couple of weeks, and then the project stuff is, 6 to 8 weeks for it to be basically totally done. Okay, here's a simpler one from Courtney. Calendar outline or Gantt view for tickets or projects. We don't have plans for that, Courtney. Mostly because we see this, like, our mission is agile and Kanban boards, and Gantt. Well, you can get Gantt charts from both ConnectWise and Autotask. So we certainly don't see ourselves doing that. A sort of calendar view, we don't have specific plans for it right now. One thing that we are planning to do, though, to help get some planning, it would not be any sort of like actual calendar view where you see 7 days per week and then your weeks and things like that. We're not planning anything like that for now, but we do see that there's value in being able to get some sort of idea about when you might be able to start a project or start a specific sort of ticket. And so we will keep those sorts of things in mind, and how can we make that more visible within a Kanban board. So one thing that we do intend to do, for example, like I mentioned, is when we have the project boards, have a swim lane where we show where we group them by the estimated start date, which we've kind of simplified to the, like by week or maybe by 2 weeks or something like that, so that you could get an idea of, if you've set the estimated start date for a series of projects, then you would see them grouped by by their estimated start date week. And so that would give you an idea of a visual representation of when these things might actually start. So we do see value in something like that, and that's how we are going to be starting things like that. If you have other ideas about how we could make that easier for you, then certainly get in touch, and we'd be happy to talk with you about that and find out what we can do to help. And a question here from Colm. Let me just read that. Yes, Colm. So your question is about the categories of the tickets and how you are able to, in Autotask, restrict certain statuses and whatnot based on the category of the ticket. So let me let me comment on that. Now, I do recall you asking us about that. I just want to take a look at our my own Kanban board here, and when we want to investigate that. Yeah, so I'm just reviewing our own Kanban board for our development here. That is something that we want to do, at least investigate what's possible for us in the in the Autotask API. Yeah, I do see a ticket here for us to investigate that. So we have not yet investigated what's actually possible, like if it's even possible right now for us to see what Autotask makes available in that regard, as far as seeing what are the valid statuses for a ticket when it's in a certain category. So we will be investigating that. I can't say exactly when. Yeah, just ask for your patience in that regard. Now, here's some interesting news. We just found this out yesterday, actually, is that Autotask has introduced a brand new API. So whereas we used to, they used to only offer an old style like XML SOAP API, I think it was. Maybe it wasn't SOAP. I can't even remember right now. Anyway, it was a kind of an old style API, and it's usable. I mean, everything that you see here already is using that API. But there was a number of things there that were not available to us. We just yesterday found out that they have launched a REST API, which is kind of the modern typical standard that you would see APIs, network APIs being offered in, and which is what ConnectWise has been offering for a few years, and they've made significant improvements over the last 2 or 3 years in their REST API, and almost everything that you can do in ConnectWise is available over that API. So it's very, very flexible. And so we're just now figuring out, seeing that Autotask has launched their REST API. Until yesterday, it was just kind of a dream. They said, oh, we are going to do it. But they've launched it now. It's, from what I've seen, which is just a very, very little, it is at a very basic level, as you'd expect when they've just launched it. Like, for example, the one page I looked at just showed what they have available for the callbacks, which are how they notify applications like ours when there's been a change to a ticket or a task or a project or something like that. And so at the moment, the only callbacks that they offer are changes like new companies and contacts, which are not that useful yet. We obviously would want to see callbacks for tickets and projects and sales opportunities and things like that, which are not yet available. So as expected, it's at a very basic level, but that's exciting news because we would hope that whereas there could certainly be a lot of things that aren't, like we've seen this, there are certain significant things that are not available in their old API. We're hoping that as they offer this new API, that a lot more things will be available there for us, so that we could confidently answer your question. You know, is this certain sort of functionality, which is you know, we use this functionality in the ConnectWise in the Autotask application itself. Is that equivalent going to be available in Kanban? And we'd like to be able to say yes, it is, because they have a great REST API, and everything that they do there is available to us over the API. So we hope to see that in the future. All right, just see what other questions there are. No additional questions just yet, so I will stick around for another couple of minutes just to see if there's any other questions. If not, no problem. We appreciate your time here, and we'll be sending this out. We'll be posting this to YouTube, this recording, and send it out to everybody who registered, whether they attended or not, within the next day or so. And yeah, be sure to let us know any questions you have. help@topleft.team. Or again, if you want to be certain that we'll let you know when we start shipping the initial project board functionality, then let us know, and we'll make sure that you're on that list.